So hi all and welcome back to my channel. Paolo here, Paul. And the model of today is it's quite interesting, I took it like a vintage object, so I don't think I have any willing to build it up in a short period, but it was interesting to analyze this model. This is the Stratos HF with a box cover stamped by Revell, so it's a model that probably have been sold, I think, around in the end of the 70s, early 80s, and Revell, the conventional Revell that everybody know. Features very nice, drawing inside. This is basically the same model made by Esci in the same period, and it is, also the same kit that nowadays, after what, 40 years, 50 years, we can find today like a new item inside the Italieri catalog, Nothing bad with it because the model was very interesting and very nice, but of course the quality cannot be compared first of all to the Hasegawa following model or the Fujimi one or also the one in 120, because there was a period where such supercars were also proposed in a bigger scale, so slightly bigger to be together with the Formula 1 car before they switched from the 24 scale to the 20, dividing GT and ordinary cars to the Formula 1 series made by Tamiya. So inside the box, quite nice box, not so bad, Back in time, they think they used it to have the box art. I'm talking about Esci, provided by Enzo Maio, that was a kind of crazy guy, but extremely skilled in the design of box arts. As you see inside of the box, you find a real original Esci box art. That is that one, much nicer, much more precise in my opinion, And all the features and all the drawings here are exactly the same as for Esci, so the schema of the parts and the disposition of the parts is exactly like Esci did. What was absolutely unuseful, and I think also per the original Esci kit, was the Alitalia color. In this model, as I told you, I took it from a friend that was selling quite cheap. Those are items that can be priced in the same level of the Beta Monte Carlo kit. Many consider that like a holy grail of the kit because the main body is not so badly done, but once again we are talking of a model that is up to 40 years old. As you can see, this decal from Alitalia are completely destroyed and damaged by probably some wet, some humidity they took, there is a spot of water all over, and also the filming of the decal is completely yellowish, so there is no use for this decal. You see, damaged also in the bleed stain parts. I mean, it's a minor problem because of course the model results like a kind of incomplete. They say printed in Germany, so this is an original German decal sheet, but feature the same mistakes as for the Esci with the wrong colors. You see that the red is very pale, the green is not a proper darker, slightly darker green. So this is a livery that must be completely or repainted, or changed with something much more recent. In this, surely the Italeri kit is absolutely better. So you basically pay this old kit to Italeri with a brand new cartograph decal, and of course the quality is absolutely better. So I deeply suggest if you have something like this, if I want to build something like this, after all the modification that we will see a little slightly later, to substitute like a spare part, because Italeri does it, you can just buy this decal sheet provided by cartograph. You pay nearly like the original cartograph sheet, so it's in the round of 15 to 20 euros, but it's okay because then you can really complete the model without trying to mask all the model. That cannot be so easy, when the car is a little bit complicated like the Stratos was. About the mold, they took correctly, nearly correctly, not properly correctly, the rear part of the engine deck, many modelers know that the Alitalia cars had a slightly different rear part from all the other Stratos, so it was not a definite corner like for the group of 4 cars in the rear part of the body, as well as in this corner in the front. There have been big talking between modelers about how to keep it proper, this corner. It's the same mistake that you can find also in the Doyusha kit in 112, and we will see about the upcoming Stratos 112 provided by Italeri, despite they say that is a completely brand new mold, so probably this mistake will not be present in the new mold from Italeri. But as you see, it's not so bad in the shape. What is really bad is the level of the lack of detail, the mold lines. You see there is a sharp mold line here. It is really making strange the area. This is an area that, of course, if you send it properly with pictures in front of you, you can obtain the proper shape, but it's quite a huge work to do, you know. So all these vents should be open and they are very thick and in plastic, so it's a kind of work to do this stuff. And I don't know about the proportion because I never took the measure of this kit, you know. It doesn't seem as this is so bad. Of course, it's not at the level of Hasegawa. Hasegawa arrived nearly 20 years later than this mold, so of course, and it is a Japanese mold, so it's of course much nicer than this old one. I think it's the same model provided also in other boxes, you know, because the Stratos, we found it also. No, the other one provided by Revell, it had different box art. That was the Hasegawa mold inside. So if you take the one with the gray box and the spot of the Stratos, but you know the gray ordinary box art from Revell of the late 90s, early 2000s, that was an Hasegawa mold inside. Instead, this one features the Esci mold inside. It's interesting because I think it's one of the few models of the Stratos that provide also the engine, you know. Instead, in the Hasegawa model, you will not have the engine. There is, of course, a quite simple engine, you know, nothing serious, of course. But it's, of course, better than nothing, and the idea was anyway great, because if you are willing to make it a full open model, you know, this give you a lot of room to increase the detail and to make it really a super detailed model of the Stratos, you know. What in my opinion really sucks is the tires and the rims, of course, because they provide the original 5-sprocket rims, you know, with an ugly chrome over. Also the design of the sprockets is not so well done. They were much more deeper, much more nicer, honestly, especially from the front one. So they are really ugly, and they still provide that ugly big line in the middle, like, you know, like toys from back in time. So these have absolutely to be changed. And you know, as you seen in my previous video, I made a video about the die-cast review of the EXO Stratos 124 for 20 euro, and here for 20 euro you neither take the decal sheet, so you need to change the decal sheet, you need to change the rims, the wheels, of course, look how ugly they are, completely squared and fantasy pattern. So this is something that you cannot use to build up a decent model of the Stratos. Maybe it was acceptable in 1979, in 1978, I don't know which year. There it is. What did I just say? 1978 Revell. So this was probably a quality standard that was already ugly probably in the 70s, you know. But if you see already just the ordinary Welly die-cast, the ordinary EXO die-cast, sorry, of this Stratos is amazingly nicer than this model, you know, so think about that. I just took it, as I said, for collector purpose, because I liked this vintage stuff, you know. The transparent is extremely thick, features the frame already molded on to be placed under the frames of the car. You know, what's interesting is that you anyway have the front series of extra Hella front lights, you know. It was really a model coming from back in time, and it had to be accepted and understood like a model coming from back in time. Black, very thick, huge plastic. Also part here is missing. I don't know what was that for. Don't care so much, honestly. Typical appeal of the Esci stuff. This was really very precious back in time, because there had been a time where this model was quite rare and people really wanted to have the Stratos of this level, because this was anyway, as you can understand, a proper base to start a super detailed work on the Stratos. But you need huge documentation. In every race the Stratos was different from another race, even more the official Alitalia Drago Munari car. No, they made it Munari. There it is, Sandro Munari. And of course it's the point where the decal is also the major, so yellowish and so on. This is go straight to the camino of the house, you know. You can burn it happily, you know, with be 1 second of flame to enjoy. And going on with the interiors basically, but as I say, they provide a kind of frame for the motor, so there is room if you are willing to make a super detail, you know. I don't think for now I will go on for this, also because in my opinion probably the best idea should be to combine this body, that anyway requires a huge amount of work, to combine it together with the body of Asegava if you find one, also because Asegava became a little more rare to find right now. In Italy there is no longer the distributor of this car, so you have to make a kind of conversion, and Asegava in a way made kind of mistake too in the rear part, because this part is, if you check picture you understand that once what I mean this bulge over the rear wheel arch is the critical point of any and just the Alitalia version of the Stratos. You know, all the other, the Chardonnay was different, so you have to check this part when you check for an Alitalia Munari car, you know. That's it. So nothing bad to say about this model, but I think it will stay for a long time on the stash. Or not trash it, of course, because I like these vintage models, you know. Also the drawings are quite cool, you know. It's really coming from the 70s, you know, when you just had this model and I was a kid and dreaming for these cars, you know, trying to see every detail, because they were really, really amazing, you know. So I deeply love the look of this Fox, but from this to build up a proper model of the Stratos, I think it's a long way, and probably I will not go for it. That's it. Paul here. Thanks for watching.